All right, Buck, our next story is coming from AL.com. How we get all this news from the Alabama.com website, I have no idea. But we tend to, we can't go 5 episodes without having a story from AL.com. Brookside police patrolled social media, threatened the town's critics. Woo, small towns and computers can be fun. Michelle Jones made an official complaint to the Alabama Attorney General's office 3 years ago, arguing that the Brookside police stopped her out of jurisdiction, issued a bogus citation, and threatened her with more charges after she criticized them on Facebook. She thought the complaint was long forgotten and closed, but on Wednesday morning she said she got a call from the Alabama Attorney General investigator who had worked the case after her complaint was filed in 2019. He informed me that my case was never closed. Uh, in 2020, she had explained her case this way to the Attorney General's office. Quote, the person threatened me with arrest if I did not take down my Facebook pictures and post of their police officers, stop sending emails to local politicians, as well as others, and show them, Brookside Police, that I understand law enforcement practices. End quote. Jones is not alone in complaining about Brookside. Stories from people stopped in the ticket happy town continue to roll down like an avalanche since AL.com last week published stories of how the tiny town turned to aggressive ticketing to build a ballooning police force that could provide half the town's revenue. That's utterly disgusting, in my opinion. Police Chief Mike Jones has since resigned. Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth has requested an audit of Brookside's town and police force, and the lawmakers across the party lines have called for a bill to help curb small town policing for profit on Alabama interstates. The accounts told to AL.com detail harassment and intimidation. They tell of consistency of the suspicious tickets and arrest, of retaliation by a police department and by a chief who challenged those who questioned him as he sought to build an empire on the backs of drivers. Stephanie Franklin, a Jefferson County employee, told AL.com she was a passenger in a car stopped last year for an expired tag. She said she tried to record the interaction after 3 officers in 2 vehicles pulled her car over, but an officer with a Volknot symbol, a Norse sign, sometimes appropriated by white supremacists, on a ring and one on his gun clips, confiscated her phone. The officer said, quote, we have people stop and record us, she said, like it explained his actions. Franklin said she believed the only reason she was arrested was because she works for Jefferson County. Others weren't so fortunate. It's why she wasn't arrested. I misread it. I was getting ready to say they screwed up, but they didn't. It was me. Another woman, Emilia Sierra, emailed AL.com to say that she was pulled over in Brookside 3 years ago for a single flash of her lights to warn oncoming traffic of a speed trap. There are 2 cars and one SUV that surrounded my car, and police were everywhere. They gave me a ticket for running a stop sign. I clearly did not run a stop sign, as I had just seen them sitting on top of the I-22 overpass and never had been in any trouble. Only had one speeding ticket, and they were shining these flashlights on my car, and it was like daylight. I was scared to death, even though I thought I was doing nothing wrong. Neither the police nor the town have responded to the questions since the original story ran. For Michelle Jones, it has been a dedicated 3 year fight. She gave the Brookside Police gave her a ticket in May of 2019 for running a stop sign on Roberta Road and Cherry Avenue across I-22 from Brookside. She insists, like many others stopped by the Brookside Police, she should not run the stop sign at all. Jones said she was polite to the officer, but was convinced the ticket was unfounded and given outside the Brookside Police jurisdiction. She sent out to challenge it, but not in the courtroom. She paid the $160 ticket and began making her case through emails to public officials, complaints, a television interview, and elsewhere. She complained directly to the then Brookside Police Chief Mike Jones. In an email to her, May 29th of 2019, Mike Jones defended the stop and the ability to ticket outside of Brookside. A peace officer sworn in the state of Alabama can enforce the law anywhere in the state of Alabama, he wrote in an email. They are sworn law enforcement officers certified by the Alabama Police Officers Standards Training Commission. Arrest powers are not confined to city limits or jurisdictional boundaries except within the state of Alabama. That's bullshit. The real trouble for Michelle Jones began, as she stated, posted on Facebook, when she saw Brookside police stopping people in places she thought was out of bounds. Police trap, she posted in June of 2019. Brookside Police Department of Brookside, Alabama, spotted in Jefferson County Sheriff's Department District at a Roberta Road and Cherry Avenue. And in July, Brookside Police Department of Brookside, Alabama, operating outside its city limits. This is the corner of Roberta Road and Mulberry Road, which is far from their city limits. What happened next shocked her. On July 10th of 2019, 16 days after she had paid her ticket, her phone rang. On the other end of the caller ID it was coming from the Brookside Town Hall. The caller identified himself as Detective Johnson, though it is unclear if Brookside had a Detective Johnson. He told her she was a wanted woman. She spelled it out in her complaint to the Attorney General's office and in notes to the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department, county commissioners, and others. Detective Johnson called and asked that I come to the Brookside Police Department to talk to him. After I told him I would not, he reported to have 2 warrants for my arrest. He stated that I issued threats, incited a riot, and slandered the Brookside Police Department in my Facebook post. He reported that the police chief was mad. An investigator with the Attorney General responded to her and spelled it out again in 2020. The Attorney General's office this week would not confirm or deny to AL.com the existence of any case involving Brookside. In his call to Jones this week, the investigator said he could not tell her anything because of the ongoing investigation. In Brookside, complaints about retaliation have come from time to time, as in the cases of Reverend Vincent Wilt and his sister Taria. He said that the small town police department fabricated charges against them and listed them as fugitives because Witt complained about the officer's racist remarks. Even the claims of retaliation for social media posts are not unusual in Brookside. Alabama State candidate Lisa Ward said the ex-chief Jones tried to intimidate her in a social media message after she shared the AL.com story on Facebook. And a Brookside man told AL.com police in the town pulled him over with blue lights and told him there would be consequences if he posted more about the police on social media. The man is still afraid of retaliation and asked for anonymity. He said police accused him of running a stop sign that I never did run and complained about it on Facebook. 2 or 3 days later, Brookside police stopped him again. Not for speeding, not for running a stop sign or any violation, but for this. The officer said, quote, "The chief's pretty upset about the post you put on Facebook. Any more backlash like this towards the police department, and it'll be far worse for you than a ticket." I stared at him, and the man said, "I was just looking at him like, and what is this stop about?" I was in pure shock, he told AL.com. Accounts of drivers, dozens of them, are strikingly similar. They often say that they had no idea why they were pulled over while passing near Brookside and Interstate 22. Time after time, they are pulled over by multiple officers in multiple vehicles for minor charges, such as expired tag or following too closely. That they were searched, towed, and forced to pay large fines for violations many say they did not commit. Michelle Jones said that she and her friends, acquaintances, and family members stopped in Brookside. She was watched and documented stops there. When I noticed the pattern to be among this, if you are in the car by yourself, you're going to get a ticket. If you have a witness with you, they're going to issue you a warning. She didn't think this was fair. I felt that basically this was a way for them to make money to fund the city and off the backs of citizens and others from the area. And this is why I decided to fight. What do you think, Buck? Your mic, buddy. There you go.
I this is pretty fucking vile, man. Like, this is like some like movie level shit intimidation. You're like, it's hard for me to even conceptualize that this stuff is happening in real life. Like, this kind of like police dude getting pulled over for nothing just to be threatened. That's pretty fucking disgusting.
So if
Like,
even a fraction of what they're saying in this story is true, I am just utterly repulsed. And the whole you're either with the police or against the police concept is completely asinine in my opinion. There are great police officers there. I know several of them. I think I was one. But
yeah,
there's plenty of
you were.
shitbags out there. There's plenty of fucking shitbags out there. And it's amazing, that it doesn't matter how good you are. You know, the other day I had my central air unit decided it was gonna take a shit on me, and it took us a long time to find someone to fix it because it's a geothermal unit, so it takes a minute to find somebody who knows how to work on that kind of stuff. And I had a guy come over, and it ended up just being a software issue. It was quickly fixed. Uh, but the thing is, he was such a nice guy, and they didn't gouge us, and it was generally like cool. This is a positive experience. So when you call the company and say, "Hey, just wanted to say this guy did a great job," and they were confused. They were just utterly confused because you always hear complaints. You never hear attaboys. you know, for
Oh
every
man.
for
Yeah,
every
people. Oh yeah, people complain a lot and never hand out those attaboys. You're right on that one.
so that legitimately confuses people. So when you have police do fucked up things, it pretty much taints the whole pot. Uh, we need a serious overhaul. But policing for profit is not a new concept. It's not a legal concept, but it's not a new concept. Where you'll have these small town police departments, so their primary function is revenue generation, and it's disgusting. And in this particular instance, you have somebody taking it too far, way too far, and getting their asses caught.
And see, that's another thing, man. Even after he's caught, he just keeps on doing it. It's like it doesn't even exist. Even when you're even a complete piece of shit starts to like tweak their processes once they realize that the masses are hip to their little, scheme. But this guy's just like, nah, fuck it. We're the cops. We're just gonna keep on doing it.
Yeah, I know a town near here that it has quite the reputation that they've literally. I've heard more than one story of someone getting pulled over and getting a ticket for going 1 mile over the speed limit, and their vehicle. The town is utter like just derelict. It's just like this is a town, but the police cars are the nicest, newest things in the road. Each police car has a drone in it. It's they have all the equipment. So something ain't stirring the coffee. Just saying.
And that's another thing, man. Like police departments, specifically like the ones you're referencing in small derelict towns like that. Do you really even need a drone and a police car? Like, why are you arming yourself like the LAPD SWAT team when there are more like livestock animals than people? And it's and it police departments need to do some serious revamping in some places, and not all police departments. It's like Raz said, man. You're it's not you're with or against the police. Let's make it about the behavior. And this kind of behavior, this is definitely in one of those categories that I would call not allowed. Like you
Yeah.
can't do that. Policing for profit, intimidating your people, the people that you're supposed to protect. You're pulling them over in the streets and threatening them. Like, what are you? Like, what message are you trying to send to the populace? Do this or else? Like that doesn't seem very altruistic or beneficial to the masses in any way to me. But again, that's just me. I would give good old Brookfield Police Department here, a solid 5.
Yeah, I'm
I mean,
co-signing
they
that.
are. They are really violating every part of the like. They're taking the whole concept of police and they're just flipping it the fuck over in every way that they can and doing it in the most gross and obvious, and it's just they're not even trying to hide it.
No, and I was
Like
gonna,
this.
I was gonna give it a 5 out the gate myself. There's no excuse for this type of it's to serve and protect, not to collect and enforce. uh,
Yeah.
yep. So that being said, Buck, that brings us to an end of another episode. These are new abbreviated episodes or something we're trying out. So let us know if you like them. We would typically used to, try to go for 4 episode or four. I'm sorry, 4 stories for a half an episode, so we'd have eight whole stories. But we're going around the 3 or 4 and releasing 2 episodes a week just for your listening pleasure. Let us know what you think, and thanks for listening. Tell a friend, subscribe, do what you gotta do. Other than that, Buck, I'm the Razgrees. This is my co-host, the Buck. We're just gonna call him the Buck. Have a week.